Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session talk where we are going to be giving you some insight on different bills that are getting passed during this legislative session. We are joined by an amazing person who works with Branch, and that is Alexi Jenkins. Welcome, Alexi.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you for being here, and thank you to Branch for partnering up on this. Again, we wanted to create this to shed some light on some of the bills that are getting passed because we realize we have to stay engaged in this process, right? We can't just stop at last summer. We can't stop at last fall, last winter. We have to continue staying engaged. So I really want to do a quick intro on Alexi, who's accomplished a lot, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. So Alexi Jenkins is head of the legislative research at Branch Politics. She has a bachelor's degree in political science with a concentration in American politics from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and a Juris Doctorate from Harvard Law School. She is a transplant from California and a member of the California Bar. So welcome once again. So if you could tell us about the session, which of course is a new newsletter that came out by the Branch, and sort of the importance of staying connected with what's going on during the legislative session.
Yes, so the session is a daily newsletter that profiles some of the bills coming out of the General Assembly. So we have Senate bills and we have House bills, and we try to profile bills that are going to be particularly important to keep track of. So either really interesting, really topical subject matters, or ones that look like they're going to be passed. Since the legislative session just started, all of these bills are in the very early stages. They were just introduced. But we really wanted to provide our readers with a way to stay engaged in politics and what their representatives are doing that go beyond just like getting out to vote once every 1 to even 4 years. So the session really allows you to know what's happening in Georgia day by day with bills being proposed and what your reps are up to.
I love that. And I love that y'all break it down because let's be honest, there's a lot of words in there. There's a lot of context. We're like, what does this even mean? So this is just really a neat opportunity to team up with Branch, again, to break down some of the bills that are being proposed on our behalf. Okay, everybody. So right now, if you are in Georgia, I really want to know what city are you tuning in from? And if you're not in Georgia, of course, we're sending our love to you as well. Who knows? This may expand in the future. So it'll be coming to your state maybe. But if you are in Georgia, really, we'd love to know what county or what city are you tuning into, because these bills that we're describing are going to directly impact you and your communities as well. Remember, the bills getting voted on are getting voted on to either help you or hurt you. So, we're here to talk about that. So I do see we have Vegas in the building again. You never know. This might be expanded one day. So anyways, let's jump right in because we're going to keep these, tight and short so we can make the most of everyone's time that's tuning in today. So Lexi, one of the bills that you all have done extensive research on, of course, is House Bill 59. And we're just coming off of this historic runoff election. And this is a bill that would basically authorize instant runoff voting in runoff elections for overseas and military Georgians and create ballots for that purpose. And that was quoted from Branch's newsletter called The Session. So Lexi, if you could, what does that mean? Break that down, that House Bill 59.
So House Bill 59 affects voting access for a very specific group of voters. So it would only apply to military and overseas voters, but it would make the process for them voting in runoff elections a lot easier. As you mentioned, we just had a runoff here in Georgia, and what military and overseas voters had to do was first do their original ballot for the November election. Then when the Senate races went to a runoff, they had to get a whole new ballot mailed to them, fill it out, and send it back. HB 59 would reduce that process by just sending overseas voters 2 ballots at once, one for the general election and one if there happens to be a runoff election. If there isn't a runoff election, that second ballot just wouldn't be counted. But if there is a runoff election, all the military votes are all there, ready to be counted. I think it's also important to note that this would only affect voters outside the U.S. So voters voting absentee in Georgia would have to still do 2 ballots.
Gotcha. So this would only be for people overseas. And what is the opinions on this? I know you guys highlight that as well. What are people saying about it?
Yeah, so there actually weren't public comments available at this time from representatives on either side. It is still a very, very early stage in the process, but it is a bipartisan bill. It has Democratic co-sponsors and Republican co-sponsors. So we'll see as this develops and moves through the House.
Gotcha, gotcha. So a lot to still tune in with, but it's good to hear this. You want to know, maybe some of you have family who are serving overseas, or maybe, you may have someone that you know. So it's important to know that, these bills are potentially could get passed. And so if you want to learn more, you want to make sure to subscribe to the session. We have a link in the caption, and you can get more information there. You can click on a link that will take you directly to the bills page, and that will give you more insight on this as well. So a second bill we want to talk about is House Bill 12. And House Bill 12 makes the possession of 2 ounces or less of marijuana a misdemeanor instead of a felony. And this is tied to criminal justice. Again, that is quoted from the branch's newsletter called The Session. Make sure to subscribe to that. It's in the caption. And I do just want to make a quick point. So, Lexi here is from California, and we know that the rules and the laws are significantly different from this coast to that coast. And so, would love to hear more about what this bill would do, and anything else you could share about it.
So House Bill 12 follows the trend nationwide of either legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana. It doesn't go as far as some other places like California have gone with legalization. All it does is decrease criminal penalties for possession of certain amounts of marijuana. So currently, if you possess an ounce or less of marijuana, it is considered a misdemeanor, and it's met with way lower punishments. This bill would drop those punishments down even farther, and also increase the amount of marijuana up to 2 ounces. So if you have 2 ounces or less, you'll be charged with a misdemeanor and not a felony. And the penalties will be limited to a maximum fine of $300.
Gotcha. And you said currently it's if currently 1 to 2 ounces is considered a felony. Is that correct? Or I think you said misdemeanor. Okay.
So 1 ounce and lower right now is a misdemeanor, but if it's more than 1 ounce, currently it's a felony.
Oh, okay.
So this bill really affects that 1 to 2 ounce range.
See how specific it is? It's just, you just get so nitty gritty with this stuff. Okay, well, thank you so much for breaking that down. I know, we know people who have been impacted by that in the community, and people, of course, have their different perspectives on it. But just certainly, it just always makes me think about how this country is shaped in terms of how different things can be from one side of the country to the other side. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on these bills. So let's go through one more bill. And then, we'll wrap up from here. This is going really, really well, and I'm learning a lot. So let's start. Let's how about tackle House Bill 16, which you have done a lot of research on personally, as well as the other one. But House Bill 16 prohibits local police from obtaining military equipment from the federal government. And this, of course, is tied to criminal justice. So what is happening here?
So currently, there is a federal program 1033, through the Department of Defense that provides surplus military equipment to local police offices. So in Georgia specifically, police departments all across the state have received 2,700 different weapons and military types of military equipment from the Department of Defense. This bill would severely limit which types of equipment can be given to law enforcement in Georgia. So it would ban certain guns, ammunition, grenades, including flashbangs, explosive, and certain weaponized drones. So Georgia could no longer accept that from the Department of Defense.
Gotcha. And what are supporters and opponents saying about this? I see that y'all have some comments written, so yes. I can imagine there are very, very different viewpoints on this.
Yes. So this bill was actually proposed last session originally, with a whole slate of criminal justice reform put forward by Representative Sandra Scott of Rex, Georgia. So this is part of her big package that was responsive to everything that was going on over the summer with police brutality and the George Floyd protests. So she proposed the bill specifically to combat the problems that we're having with the police that are affecting Black Americans specifically and everybody else in the country. Opponents, including some of the police chiefs in the area, say that the militarization of the police is just about them having the best equipment and the best trained officers. So, and they also say that it saved taxpayers about $250,000. So very different perspectives on the issue.
Very, very, very different. So a lot more we need to look into. And that, I think you mentioned something that happens, right, with bills. Sometimes they get proposed and then they get pushed back to the next year and then the next year and then the next year. So all these 3 bills that we just went through, I mean, where do we go from here? Like, do we think they'll get, I mean, I don't know, what's next?
So Georgia's state legislature is Republican controlled in both houses. So I think we're going to see a lot more of the Republican and bipartisan bills advance through the legislative process. Some of the more ambitious progressive bills, like those proposed by Representative Scott, might not make it as far.
Gotcha. And that's why, local elections matter, everybody, because your representatives, if you want them to represent you and have sort of a stronger influence in these chambers, in the House, in the Senate, Congress, on a national level, you got to vote. And shout out to everybody who just did vote because we made history together in Georgia and in the nation. And I know a lot of stuff has happened since then. It's been hard to even be in the moment because of what happened at the Capitol. But I do just want to take a moment to acknowledge every single person who voted and who made history, because your votes do matter and people do hear your votes and they do go far. So, I really just want to throw it back to you, Lexi, because we went through 3 today, but obviously there are I think you all said about 1,000 they might go through.
Oh, bills are being proposed all the time. So I think we're up to 100 bills have been proposed in the House already. It's fewer in the Senate, but we are tracking all these bills and we're bringing the most important, most interesting, most compelling bills to you through the session newsletter every day in your inbox.
That is amazing, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I need to go subscribe to this daily newsletter. And honestly, if you're not in Georgia and you want to just keep an eye out on what's going on, it would still be helpful. So you can subscribe to it. The link is in the bio or in the caption. Definitely subscribe. Stay educated, stay informed, and spread the knowledge. Lexi, is there anything else you want to add? By the way, I'm so excited to be doing this together. I can't wait to do it again. So anything else you want to add today?
If people want to learn more about Branch or find the link directly through our socials, you can check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Branch Politics or at our website at branch.vote.
Yes, wonderful. And that link is also in the caption. So make sure to click on it, learn about them. We met last summer and we've been able to do a couple things together. And here we are now. So shout out to you, shout out to Walter, shout out to the entire Branch team for everything you all do. At this point, we will wrap it up here and we will be back next Friday with a few more bills for you all. So thank you again, Lexi. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Shout out to Branch. Thank you to their team. And until next week, sending y'all lots of positive vibes, peace, and love. Peace out, everybody. Thanks.